Hi Flosstube, and welcome back to Fairy Tales and French Knots. I'm Erin, and this is my channel about cross-stitch, where I talk long enough to make my family wonder what I'm up to, but short enough that you can watch me on your lunch break. So I've been gone for about 8 months, and I always say at the end of my video, I'll see you in a week or two, and then I disappear for months. So if you're new here and you feel like you don't know what's going on, that's okay, because probably most of my returning viewers, if there's like 6 of them out there, have forgotten everything too. I've probably forgotten most of everything I said in the first 17 videos I posted. So I'm just going to start with what's new. And the first thing that's new is part of why I'm posting from the position in the room that I'm in right now, is that I bought myself a Lowry stand. And I had been considering a floor stand of some kind for a really long time. I had a small lap stand that I could use for about 90% of the things I stitch. But I did have a couple larger pieces either on Q-snaps or on scroll frames that were getting really unwieldy and kind of, forcing me to lean into my chair funny to hold them up. And unfortunately, I'm not getting younger, and my wrists and thumbs and hands were starting to hurt, and I decided if I'm not comfortable, I'm not going to enjoy my stitching. So I did some research, did some price homework, and finally settled on a Lowry that I got from Lindy Stitches back in January, I think, when she had the pearlescent purple plum color. I paid a little bit extra for the purple, I confess, but I love it. And I have found that it doubles as a camera stand. The other thing I was finally forced to admit is that my phone has a better video camera and better recording capabilities than my desktop and my webcam. I have an old desktop. I have a relatively old webcam. It wasn't ideal, and my Galaxy S23 is better all around. Also, I have a teenage daughter who tells me there are apps that are much better for editing videos than whatever I was using on my computer. So I'm forced to, turn in my little Tyrannosaurus dinosaur arms and not be a dinosaur and update my setup here. So this is hopefully going to happen more often. I can put my phone into my Lowry and put it up on top of a box on the floor, and it makes a really nice little stand for recording. So what have I been stitching now that I have this great new stand, new setup? My lights are great. Love my stitching room. Well, at the end of my last video, which I did watch in preparation for making this one, I had shared a Forget-Me-Not sampler by Victorian Motto, and I have been working on that one, and I still love it. Here's what I have so far on that. You can see I've made quite a bit of progress. So I've got, I think all of this lower corner here is done, and I've got my border matched up, which is, as you know, always an exciting day when your borders match. It is charted in DMC, but I have subbed in actually Victorian Motto flosses that I got in I think a stash pack grab bag somewhere. They're not the called for ones, but the great thing about a sampler like this is you can switch and swap things, and it really won't make a big difference. The fabric is a limited edition Newcastle from Color and Cotton, so it's a 40 count. And I was working on that as part of Whip Go in, I think it was January. It was my Whip Go call. So that's the other news this year, is that I signed up for Whip Go, because I was looking through the list of things I've started and the number of times I've posted progress that didn't look like progress. So I decided it was time to commit to getting some of this done, or making some significant progress on a lot of it. And my Whip Go goal is to do at least 5 lengths of floss on each piece that's called. And what I've already found, and it's only, what, April? Yes. What I've already found is that once I get started on something, no matter how long it's been in the bin, after 5 lengths, I tend to get like, yes, I can keep going on this, and I'll keep doing more. So I've gotten to at least 5 on everything, but I've done a lot more than that. So that was the Forget-Me-Not sampler. The other large-ish piece, newer thing that I've started is I discovered, well, I didn't discover, I knew this designer existed for a long time. I was newly obsessed with the primitive needle. Now, if you've watched Cross Stitch the Globe, they've talked about how much some of the primitive needle patterns go for. And that is because Lisa Roswell, the designer, passed away tragically, and her family decided not to maintain production of her charts. So a lot of her charts have become very hard to find, and a lot of people, or a significant number of people, collect them. So I'm not quite to that level of collector, but I do like some of her patterns. And I found this one on eBay. It is Halloween Parcheesi. Okay, one problem with using my camera phone is that I can't see exactly what I'm showing you. So yes, there is Halloween Parcheesi. And this was fully kitted with floss and fabric, I think. I'm not sure. Maybe it was just the floss. But either way, I got the floss and the pattern for, I think, about $20. And part of the reason I found it so cheaply was that the seller is not a stitcher. I think it was someone who got an estate, possibly a grandmother or friend or something. And they listed it as primitive with an A. So if you had an eBay alert, or if you were searching eBay for the primitive needle, you didn't find it spelled the correct way with I's. It was Primative. So I just stumbled across it because the seller actually had something else I liked, and I went and looked at his other listings and found this. So I've been working on that, and that one I am doing on 40 count as well. So there is my Halloween Parcheesi so far. Hasn't gotten that far, but that's Halloween Parcheesi. Let's see. I've got some finishes, so I think I'm going to interrupt my progress with some finishes, and then show you my latest thing that I'm working on right now. So another thing that I showed in one of my videos toward the end of the last batch, it might have been number 17, was something that I actually finished at StitchCon last year, which is Forever Young by Heartstring Samplery. And it was a piece I inherited from another stitcher who has passed away. I finished it and I framed it. So here it is, beautifully framed by Jeff at Shebella Framing in Binghamton, New York. And he used museum glass, and you can see there's a gold inlay to the frame, which is very rustic. I think the frame does a really nice job of pulling out the teal in the stitching. And you can also see that Laura's initials are down here in this corner, and mine are up in the spot where it was intended to go in the chart. So the reason the other reason I really wanted to record this today, or at this point in time, is that I'm going to go to Celebration, which is held in mid-May, which is where I got the partially started project. I'm going to take it back, and I'm going to donate it to the breast cancer fundraiser silent auction. So if you're going to Celebration, what's the thing they always say there? Bid high. Don't be shy, bid high. That's it. But yes, if you like it, that's where it will be. So I got that finished and framed earlier this year. Last fall, I also mentioned in those videos that I have a love for little ladies with oversized flowers and doodads and things that just make me smile. And one of those was Heart and Hands Harvest on Dahlia Ridge, which I finished here. Put him in a little plywood frame, which I painted pumpkins on myself. There's one there, one in the top corner. There she is. I did not use all the called for flosses. In fact, I may have used about 2 of the called for flosses. I just swapped in what I had on hand. So I got that one finished. And because of my love of little boxes, I was at my antique store, and I found this sweet little box which said, it's got a label in the lid that says useful toilet soap manufactured by Charles S. Higgins. So this is the box. It's this it looks like rather classy little box. I have a feeling it was in somebody's workshop, like tool shop, because it was really grimy. You can see on the back where somebody patched the hinge together. But I sanded it down, put some oil on it and some polyurethane, and it's really beautiful. And then inside, I actually kind of like the kind of character it has from being a little dinged up on the front. But inside, I lined it like I would my jewelry boxes. And then I stitched, speaking of celebrations, I stitched one of Sharon Verbos's little strawberries. So here's my little strawberry. And they look super cute in that little box. And I do have a bunch of other strawberry kits. So eventually I'll have to go stitch some more strawberries and put them together. I had a little bit of trouble with the assembly, so hopefully I'll get better at that as I do more of those. Part of it's because I'm a perfectionist, and really, who's ever seen a perfect strawberry? Is there such a thing? So I need to not stress about that and just put them together and be happy that they're done. So there's that little box. And in the little box department, I took a bunch of my boxes, the jewelry boxes. I took 2 or 3 of them down to a local gift shop called Spellbound Coffee and Books. And the woman who owns the shop actually bought them outright from me. She said she didn't want to do commission because then she had to keep track of the paperwork and if they sold. And she said it was easier for her to just buy them and then resell them, which I was completely okay with. She took the little witch box, which was the La-Di-Da witch in a black box. I think the pattern was Witch. And then she also took one I had finished. I posted it. I probably finished it, posted it on my Instagram, and have since gotten rid of it before I ever put it in a video. But what happened to it was she actually returned it to me because whatever paint I had used on the outside of the jewelry box did not set. And it got gummy and it started to collect like fuzz and it wouldn't open right. And she actually called me and said, I can't sell this. And I was terribly embarrassed, honestly. But I went down, I picked up the box, I brought it home and proceeded to essentially smash it with a hammer because I wanted to rescue my stitching out of it. I got the stitching out, but I don't even know if I can do anything else with it because I cut it and trimmed it to fit the box opening. Lesson learned. I did take her my Noble Steed piece, which I think that was a freebie from either Lindy Stitches or Michelle Bendy a couple years ago. I can't remember which. I'd have to go back through my notes and I don't have those. But I took her that one in place of the damaged one. So that happened. When the witch box was there, it sold. And she said it sold like that. Apparently little witches were quite popular at some point. And I got an email from a woman who had wanted to buy it, but had missed out. Like, she saw it in the store, came back to get it, and had been sold to someone else. And she asked me if I had any other boxes like that. I kind of make one-offs. I don't assembly line anything. So I told her no, and I asked if there was anything else she liked. I sent her some pictures of stuff I had. She didn't really want any of them. She asked if I had any more witches or ravens, because she really liked those. So I didn't at the time, but now I do. And this is part of the Nevermore Raven from, I want to say, Quaternion Creations. I think she's on Instagram. I'll make sure of that and put the link in the video when I get this all together. But yes, this little box has the crow and the moon, and the inside is a black pre-quilted fabric. I put the same one on the lid and the inside of the box. So I have this together, and I need to email the woman and see if she's still interested, because maybe she'll buy it. So I did that one. And I also put together this one. This was a freebie, I think, from Scarlet House a couple years ago. Little brown bird. And I put that in a box. Backed it with some blue calico. I actually did not have to modify the inside of this box at all. It was in perfect condition, so that's done. And my mother and I have been asked to do the craft show at the nature center where my parents live, and this is something I think I might take there, along with some other things that haven't sold at different craft shows. I'm getting some of my stash of finished things is starting to go away, and it really feels good. I don't know about the rest of you, but sometimes when you've got stuff that you just don't know what to do with, and either you can sell it or give it to someone or even throw it away, at first you think, oh, I missed that. And then suddenly it's like a weight off your shoulders that stuff isn't sitting there anymore. That's how some of my needlework is starting to feel. It's like, why is all this stuff here? I can't use it all. I'm not going to do anything with it. It needs to go. So I have been destashing as well. And that it's kind of nice to put things in an envelope, send them away, and be done with it. Let's see. What else have I finished? Oh, the Heartstring Samplery Forever Young piece was stitched on 46 count. It was my first time stitching on 46 count. And the woman who had started it and obviously picked 46 count, she was one of those get the big piece of fabric and count 3 in and 3 down and stitch and then cut. I'm a measure, cut, and then stitch. She's a measure, stitch, and then cut person. So after I finished that sampler, I had to trim the sides to take it to the framer. I had quite a bit left over, not a full quarter or half, but kind of 2 significant chunks, one off the side and one off the bottom. So I started looking through my stash for things that would look good on it. And one thing I found was a freebie from Blackbird Designs called First Offering. And I think it's up as a PDF in various places, probably not on Blackbird's website, but maybe in their Facebook group. I think the administrator of that group put the pattern into the freebies. But I finished that on the 46 count. So there it is. And this frame came from the antique store. And the flosses I used, the black and orange are pumpkin and shades of black from Dying for Sass on Etsy. And then I had some, I think the brown was some leftover Ship's Manor ganache. And the gold is Weeks whiskey or gassed whiskey. But either way, pretty much a standard line. So So there's that all finished, and it's been hanging on my wall. So that was fun to get done. In January, for a Christmas gift to our daughter, my husband and I took her to New York City to see Spamalot. I'm sorry. We had a really good time. We took the train from Albany to New York City, and I couldn't be on the train without thinking about Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory going, "We're taking the train!" But anyway, on our way down to the city, the train stopped. And it turned out that the tracks were flooded. And they had to wait for the low tide before the train could move. And thank goodness I had brought stitching, because that was 3 hours of sitting in a stalled train. And what I had with me was We Still Go On by Uncanny Carrie and These 20 Stitches. It's this little dragon skull with the flowers. And I had the Kraken floss that I had gotten from Night Stalker's Calling. I think I showed that in an earlier video. So that I actually got finished. And I think this is on a 32 count. So there's my little dragon, looking very funky with his Kraken floss. And what I'd like to do with that is make a project bag. Not a vinyl front one, but like a one more that will have my stitching on the front. And I have this fabric, batik, that was on sale at Joann's. And it goes so well. So I'll get that together someday when I feel like getting my sewing machine out. So I got that done. And what I'm working on right now, it's what I'll end with today, because it's over 20 minutes already. You're probably, your lunch half hour is just about up. So I want to get this wrapped up. I went back to my love of the old patterns, and I pulled out Cricut's Companion Spring. This is copyright 1987. And in my opinion, it really looks it. I mean, it's got these polka dots, which are all stitched. It's got these hearts in the corners. It's got this kind of funky, chunky lettering from very 80s. And I don't love that. I really don't. But I love purple. And I used to have a gray cat. So when I look at that pattern, I see the little girl in the purple dress and the gray cat. And it made me smile. So I went into my floss and I pulled out Gassed Hyacinth, which is purple. I pulled out Rami's Creations Green Apple. I pulled out the Dye is Cast Gold Rush. And I pulled a whole bunch of stuff. Rami's Antiquities, which is brown, and 6 Strand Sweets, Sarah Says Cherry, for pink. And I converted her. I updated her. She's still a old-fashioned girl in a purple dress watering her flowers, but I think she's a bit more modern looking than this girl. Ta-da! Ta-da! So she's almost done. I just have to finish some leaves in the grass, and I'll have that to show you 8 months from now. Hopefully I'll be back before then. So take care and happy stitching!